Are you a life coach who wants to make a difference in the world? Do you want to share your wisdom, passion, and experience with others? Do you want to grow your business and reach more clients? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then you need Life Coaching Today. Life Coaching Today is the largest platform on the web for life coaches, therapists, and hypnotherapists who want to enhance their visibility, gain exposure, and connect with clients. Life Coaching Today is more than just a directory. It's a network of opportunities. By joining Life Coaching Today, you will get access to a magazine where you can be featured and connect with over 30 million subscribers. Be a guest to our podcasts with over 55,000 subscribers. A directory where you can showcase your profile, services, and testimonials to thousands of potential clients. And that's not all. Life Coaching Today also offers a free 30-minute coaching session on Tuesdays and Thursdays, where you can be coached or meet your next client. A flexible pricing plan where you can choose the best option for your budget and goals. A dedicated customer service team where you can get help and guidance whenever you need it. So what are you waiting for? Join Life Coaching Today and take your life coaching career to the next level. Visit www.lifecoachingtoday.com and sign up today. Life Coaching Today, the largest portal on the web connecting coaches, therapists, and hypnotherapists.
Hey everyone, good morning. It is Thursday, September 12th. I feel like we are moving at lightning speed at the moment. I don't know why life needs to move this fast, but it is. But good morning. I am Kadada Esmera Gregg, your conflict coach, and you are joining me today on Life Coaching Today Presents. You would think this is my first time doing this, but it's not. It's just the only day of the week that I get up extremely early and outside of catching an airplane flight. So I'm kind of bouncing off the walls. I'm kind of sleepy. I'm kind of all the things this morning. But I am so happy that you are joining me. If you are up at 7 a.m., if you are somewhere else across the world, thank you for joining me. I am super excited today, even though I'm kind of in my feelings. And I'm going to start with why I'm in my feelings to get off a little bit off topic, because we have our awesome guest from last week back on with us, Kelly Craig, and I'm telling you all that I have felt convicted all week. My girlfriends and we have been talking about codependency, and y'all, I feel like I need a whole t-shirt or something to say, oh yeah, I've been codependent, I'm healing from codependency, or I'm still here and I'm still a mess. I don't know. So but I'm excited too that Kelly is back with us, because y'all, we just need to continue to talk about this, because it is the slightest of slight things that we don't even recognize that make us codependent. And so I feel that way. But Kelly, I appreciate you coming back on the show, and I am super excited. And guess what, y'all? This is what this show is about. Looking at the conflict of life. And you know me as a conflict coach, everything in life is a conflict, whether it's an internal or an external conflict. All that means is that you just have a challenge where it's a decision-making process on how it is that you're going to take your next action, right? So, and that can take on a multitude of ways that we handle conflict. And so codependency is on the low conflict scale, but we're going to jump back into that, because I do want to talk about, it's funny, y'all, because I live in the NPR world. I live in the world of newspaper and books. So I struggle with searching for words for certain things that are happening in our society. And I was super excited that I finally remembered the word pop culture, because if you know me, I never remember that word. And so I finally have like some pop culture stuff I can talk about that's just kind of like, oh, yes, I need this in my life. And so the first thing is, and this one's light, this one's easy, in my opinion, is that y'all, I have been addicted to, and I don't listen, I'm not even a movie person. Like, I rarely go to the movies, even though I have Netflix and all this type of stuff. It's really hard for me to just sit and watch a movie, because the way my brain is set up, I'm like, okay, I already figured this out. I'm over it, whatever, right? So I'd rather read newspaper articles or read books. But I came across Fight Nights on Peacock, y'all. I had to pay for another subscription service just so I could watch Fight Night. And y'all, that is an amazing show. And it comes out every Thursday. And I binge watched it last Thursday evening or Friday evening. I don't remember, but last week sometime. And can I just tell you, I'm addicted to this show. Like, I was addicted to like the Cosby Show from back in the day. Like, that's like, you remember, all of us that's old enough to remember, there were certain shows that came on every night or on a particular evening, and you were just like, oh, I have to be ready and prepared. So that is my thing today. That's my jam. For all my Fight Night people, join me. It's going to be a blast. I'm about to get my popcorn, put my special seasoning on it, and all the kind of stuff. So I'm excited about that. And then last night, while I'm scrolling through Facebook, trying to mind my business, and come across Shannon Sharp, and no one would tell me what it was about, because once again, I'm not really paying attention to the Fight Night thing, right? So I'm just like, I'm just like, okay. So I'm like, what is this with the, or anything, right? So anywho, I'm over here trying to deal with the kind of like, what is going on with Shannon Sharp? And I am sad to say that I found out. And thanks to a girlfriend. Ooh, we're getting muted and all kinds of stuff. So thanks to my girlfriend's post, I learned what it was, because someone put the link out there. Y'all, you know what? Can I just tell y'all, there's a prevalence of people getting hacked, right? That is a thing, whether it's business, personal, whatever, phones, cell phones, laptops, or whatever. But I just think, I don't, and no judgment, this is a judgment-free zone. I'm not the person that will put intimate stuff on my phone. I don't want to. I'm just saying. And to hear all kinds of sexual activity, which was explicit this morning. So I found out about it this morning. I watched it this morning as I was putting my lip gloss on. And y'all, I can't. Club Shay Shay needs to shut down for a second, just a second. Like, let's recover, and let's, if nothing else, let's own the fact that we have personal stuff on our phones that at any point in time it can get raggedy. And if anyone goes and quote unquote hack stuff, they're going to put out your most raggedy stuff. Like, let's just be clear about that. So let's not do it, right? Let's make a different decision. And I'm also going to say, y'all, can y'all hear Zora over here barking like she's not supposed to be sleeping? Anywho, but this thing, let me just also say too, if you drop your own raggedy into the interwebs of the world, can we stop blaming it on the hackers, right? Because the hackers got a plan, and their plan is not to, like, yeah, just say that you did it. I just don't know why. And I kind of feel like he did it. That's all my judgment. Sorry, y'all. That's my judgment for today. I think he did it. He did it on his own. So if you were privy to the Shannon Sharp video. Do you think he did it? Drop it in the chat. Hit me up. Let me know what you think, because that was wild. And I was listening to it this morning, like, huh? Like, if you see me on Facebook, I was like, oh Lord, that's a lot this morning. Or maybe I should have listened to it at midnight, because that was definitely midnight type stuff. Yeah, so those are my two pop culture kind of things, y'all. So I'm so super proud of myself that I'm like, yay, I remember the word pop culture. And Christian, good morning. Good morning, Emily, and good morning. Who else did I see? I saw somebody else, y'all, but I can't see. I'm doing too much at the same time. So good morning, you all. Welcome. So Christian, just to let you know, apparently there is some audio and a slight video of Lord Shannon Sharp engaging. What in the, do y'all hear the doggy? Come here, Zora. I need you to go sit down somewhere and leave other people's dogs alone. Sorry about that, y'all, but Zora has another dog issue, and I'm trying to tell her that we do not come for other doggies unless they come for you first. So I don't know why she is not in agreement with me. No, Miss Zora did not hear the Shannon Sharp video, but I'm going to say this again. So to Christian, so what had happened was, apparently he's claiming he was hacked. His phone was hacked, I think. Video was, listen, because I keep going in and out. So his phone was hacked, y'all. He's claiming his phone, cell phone, whatever was hacked, and the video, the audio is of an intimate exchange of him and a woman, and it's very intimate and it's very sexual in nature, and he is saying that he was hacked. And all I'm making the argument is, I don't think it was hacked. I think he did it, and I think he released it on his own, because why aren't all other conversations being released, or other things in his phone that's being released? Yeah, right, Christian. Yeah, because you know what? I'm sure he has conversation about his finances, and we all want to know about the money. No, but anywho, I'm gonna move on from that. So y'all just, we're gonna move on from that. We're gonna cleanse our spirit. If I need to go run and get my sage, I will. But I do want to talk about some weird stuff in the news, because I read way too much. And so I don't know if you all saw the article in the newspaper, and y'all, I don't know what to say about the human population sometimes. Sometimes I'm real confused. And so there was a man. No, I'm going to tell it in story format. So just imagine you're sitting at home, or you're sitting at work, and you have a Ring camera, and your Ring camera is going off repeatedly. And, like, even on my camera, like, I can watch the video from my phone. I can tell who comes to my door and all this kind of fun stuff, deliveries and all that kind of stuff. And so this family discovered, and I don't know why they weren't watching their video, but they have a video of a singular male that walked up to their Ring camera and spent 3 hours, y'all, 3 dedicated hours licking their Ring camera. I don't even know what to say, because one, I don't have that much time on my hands, free time. But apparently he did. I don't know if that's a new kink of licking ring cameras, but that's what that man did. And I think they're looking for him. I think they're looking for him, y'all. I don't know if they can swab it, if they swiped it for DNA. But yeah, so a grown man was in these streets, y'all, and decided that he was going to lick the Ring camera for 3 hours. Can y'all imagine? I can't even imagine that. My Ring camera goes off just because my neighbor comes up the stairs. So I'm a little confused, but that's just me. That's me. I live in a confused world sometimes. Um, and then the other topic I want to discuss, or just wild, how do I say this? Because, and I was struggling last week with a girlfriend of mine having this conversation. Um, have you all heard of ugly privilege? And that's UGLY privilege, ugly privilege versus pretty privilege. And so there's a young woman on TikTok. It's Sarah. I'm sorry, Sarah. I can't remember what your tag is on TikTok. And so, but she made a video about having ugly privilege. Now, let me just say, I have not, um, I went to go look her up. I did not find that sister girl to be ugly. Um, and so it was fascinating to me. And I kind of was stuck there. And my girlfriend Jennifer and I had a long conversation about this. And so the premise of ugly privilege is the idea that, guess what? Men don't find me attractive enough, so they don't bother me. And I was like, wait a minute. Hmm, that's interesting. Because pretty privilege on the other side of it is that, of course, men are going to be in your space. But it also means that you might get access to things and be able to do certain activities just because you're pretty. And this sister girl is saying that she has ugly privilege, and ugly privilege allows her to live her life unbothered, unseen. And I was like, whew, Lord, because how do I say this? I think we all would like the privilege, especially I think any woman would love the privilege of to be able to walk down the street and not be catcalled and and have the ability to mind our own business. So the ugly privilege thing kind of threw me off as I'm still pondering, because like I said, the sister girl, and when I use the word sister girl, I mean women in general. um I didn't find her particularly unattractive. I thought she was a pretty chica. And just like, I'm like, wait, it almost makes you question, am I ugly or am I pretty, and which one do I prefer? um just because of the actions that come with the ugly privilege, according to Sarah, and or pretty privilege that has been defined by the world. And I don't know, y'all. I just, let me know what your thoughts are. Uh, yeah, we need to talk through that. And I just see some comments. Oh Lord, y'all, in the comments around. Yes, there were people out here licking the Ring camera. There was a man who did that, and I of a judgment free zone, y'all. It doesn't work all the time, but that's what I'm trying to do, and it's not there all the time. And yes, Jennifer says, why do we have a private side about not being approached being set topic? Listen, it's been a week, y'all. This has been the fastest, slowest week altogether. And I have to wind down in a way that kind of just lets me read and be quiet. Um, so yeah, and last, I just want to, as we're dealing with ugly privilege, as we're dealing with all kinds of crazy, we also had the debate. Yeah, so we had the debate this week. And so I just want to say this. Debates aren't meant for I don't know. Political people do watch it, and I think people watch it because they want to find out something about candidates, about the topics to which you think candidates can um, sway you or make you decide that I don't want to deal with them at all. And so this was an interesting debate for me, and I've sat through a lot of debates because guess what, my own candidates have to go through debates, right? And so, I will say Vice President Kamala Harris was extremely professional. I've heard her speak multiple times, and she started very professional. She started all together. And then she started to wind down and kind of match the energy, as we say, of former President Donald Trump. And Donald Trump was trumping as usual. He came out with a lot of lies about things that I just don't know why. But so that if you watch the debate, I see that one person in the comments says that debates have become entertainment. Sure enough, most surely, if you're not familiar, I think some people watch these debates and hope that they're going to learn something new. Every once in a while you can, because most people's platforms are put out there well beforehand. And, with the VP becoming the candidate, the presidential candidate, there's a lot missed in about who she is, which honestly is the role of the vice president. So now we're playing catch up and whatnot in her space. So I will say this, it is very hard to debate a liar. If you have never had a debate class, it's very, very hard to debate a liar. It is very hard to debate someone who manifests lies and people believe it to be true. And, one of the things that I could take offense to a lot of things that Donald Trump says, but as an immigrant, I will say that I took offense, and I know there's a lot of memes and people are laughing about this, about the community. I think it's in Springfield, Ohio. He made an assertion that the immigrant population was eating cats and dogs, and that was their food. And I just want to say this, as a Caribbean girl, as an immigrant coming from an immigrant family, that's not funny, y'all. Like fear mongering or even expressing hateful attitudes towards a certain group of people, it's not sexy, it's not cute, it's not even funny. Because I promise you, at some point in time, whatever group that you're in, they're coming for you next. So I just want to say that it might be jokes and fun right now, but he makes the rounds on every group except for white males, except for them, unless he doesn't like you and then you just kind of suck in his opinion. But Yoruba, my awesome producer, let's go to break. And when we come back from break, we're going to bring back the awesome Kelly Craig. Because y'all, she had us in our feelings, and I promise you she's going to have me in my feelings again. So let's go to break.
Welcome to Life Coaching Today Presents, hosted by Kadana.
One of the biggest challenges for coaches, practitioners, and hypnotherapists is getting clients. As coaches ourselves, we know how difficult it is on social media to stand out and gain credibility. That is why at Life Coaching Today, we connect coaches like you with clients. It all starts with our directory, where it's possible to create a profile that gets the right exposure with over 12,000 hits a month. You can gain credibility by writing for Life Coaching Today magazine, add videos, be interviewed on our podcast, teach classes in the community, and sell your products directly from our website. Not to mention, we actually connect clients who are actively searching for coaches who can best serve them. So if you are struggling to get clients, have Life Coaching Today help you get more clients. Go to lifecoachingtoday.com.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Happy Thursday morning. Thank you for joining me, Kadada Esmera Gray, your conflict coach on Life Coaching Today Presents. And I'm super excited that Kelly woke up early again this week for us to be on the show. Welcome back, Kelly.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to turn up your mic as loud as possible because I'm having a hard time hearing you. And I am going to say before we get started, because I think this is so interesting. And for all of my new listeners, if you don't know, like I always have my Facebook Live on, and I encourage people, my guests, to do that as well. And I also, and I'm saying this because I tend to pull in the comments that I don't know why my mic is acting up, but I tend to pull in the comments of everybody on Facebook, right? Because this is a we up in here. This is not only about me. I want you all to hear what people are saying. And let me just say, I was just taken aback a minute from because a friend of mine, and because this ugly privilege that I was just talking about, and this is interesting because to hear a man talk about ugly privilege is interesting to me. And so, Christian, love you. So I'm putting all your business in the streets. That's what you sign up for. And so he says, some people live their life believing they are ugly when they aren't. And so I'm just going to kind of read this. He said, most so-called ugly people are subjected to social media standards. I agree with that. And he said, but to her point, it's a thin line for both. And he says he grew up believing that he was ugly in his late teens. Now, let me tell y'all, if y'all see Christian, and I'm going to tell his last name because y'all not going to be out here trying to look for a date. He's not dating because his big sister said so. But this is a handsome man. And so it's interesting to see that, right? Thank you for your honesty in that space, because I don't think we say that enough. We don't reflect on who we are and say where we come from. And then he also says, as a grown man, I've noticed that I get more play on my rough look days than my well-groomed days. And so interesting. And so he said, when asking some honest women, they said, I was just too handsome to approach or be believable. Woo, Christian, you said a word. You said a whole word. So I appreciate your view on that. And there's a lot of us that are completely living the world sometimes of being unapproachable. But that also leads me into, this idea of, we had you on, Kelly, about last week on talking about codependency. And you shared with us that the codependency it actually is rooted in dealing with people who are alcoholics. And you shared with us in the world that, guess what, you know what, my family, this is how I grew up. And I noticed that I had codependent, I would call them symptoms there that were apparent to you that you can see even into your adulthood. And so, Christian, what I'm leading to in this is that part of codependency, how we arrive there, is that what happens in our childhood, we can't break that cycle if we don't identify it. And so this idea, even with the ugly privilege or, believing that I was not handsome or pretty as a younger person, we have got to take the moment to realize who we are so we can heal from that, right? And that's called kind of healing your inner child wounds. And if you're not familiar, if you are unfamiliar with the concept of healing your inner child, that is literally, just simply put, is healing those things from our childhood, our issues, actions, the traumas that occurred to us and within us that we took into our adulthood. And so in our adulthood, we are now trying to heal those things, so that way we can be stronger, more adults in our words, more adults in our thinking, and so forth. And so, um, when you are working on healing your inner child, right? Because sometimes what we come out of childhood with as adults, we don't even know, it just shows up in our behavior, is that, we might suffer from low self-esteem. We might be constant worriers, or have anxiety. We might have fear. We may have problems of trusting others. So all of those things show up. And so we need to dismantle those things. But the way to get to dismantling is that we have to be able to identify what happened to us, right? And so, Kelly, I'm just going to say, you had me in my feelings all week. All week. I mean, my girlfriends and I have been talking about you, because I mean, I don't even know what to say. Like, so welcome back. And I know you're going to have us more in our feelings today. That's going to carry on for another week. Because I realized this morning that I need a codependency t-shirt. I just need to say codependent, and that's it. I'm just going to live my life that way. And I have moved forward from some things, and some things I'm still working on. So first, let me ask you, how are you doing? It's been a week. How was your week?
My week was good. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
All right, awesome. It's actually echoing on my end. Let me turn me down a little. I'll have to test audio. Funny, I do that for a living. My week was good. It was good. I actually, when Emily called me again and asked me to come back on, I shared with her that I wasn't feeling great about the interview myself, that I knew
Oh,
watch
wow.
it back. And she was like, "We loved you." And I was like, wow, me? You know what I mean? Just so it's always there. It's just always there. It's always on. And it comes up in everything we do. And so we just really do need to recognize what is going on and be able to play with it. So that's where I was. While you guys were in your feelings, I was in mine as well.
Well, I will say this. I think anytime, when I do interviews and stuff, I never think I do well. Hell, sometimes I get off this show and I'm like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? What did I do? So the goal is leave people with something, and you left us with a whole lot of stuff, girl. You left us with a whole lot of things. So, but I want to ask you something that's kind of personal. You can definitely tell me you don't want to answer it or not. But I woke up in my system this morning wondering, you shared with us about your mother being an alcoholic and dealing with your father, and so forth. And I just wonder, as you were growing up, did you realize that you were resentful of your parents?
Yes, ma'am, I did. And then I had to heal from it. I think where we kind of left off was becoming an adult in a situation like this and having parents, right? And I said that, we're no longer responsible for our kids. And you went into, in your culture, we stay together, right? And
Yeah.
yeah. And so I'm that way too. But I had to heal and recognize that it was my parents doing what they knew how to do, the best that they could. And so by thinking and doing some healing work, if I put myself back to where my parents were children and what did they grow up with and what were they taught and how did they learn? And then my mom was pregnant with my oldest sister at 17, and she was raised Catholic in the 40s and 50s. So very different times.
Yeah.
And it was almost shunned upon at that time, right? To be this girl who's 17 and pregnant and unmarried. So she had a hard time with that, and her family owned a bar. So she grew up with older brothers. She was one of 9, the baby girl of 9.
Wow.
And yeah. And so she knew what she knew. And with alcohol, it can destroy you, without you even realizing it. You're just trying to do what you know how to do. So with that said, they did the best that they could. And I had to recognize that and not resent them for it. I turned the lessons into blessings is what I did. Instead of being a victim, I became my own hero. And being able to talk about it and help others from where I came from what I learned, so that they can see it in themselves and then heal themselves. So I just really look at it more as a blessing today. But as a teenager or whatever, I did not. No, I couldn't take people to my house. I was embarrassed. My mother was in bed all day, that kind of thing. So yeah, it was difficult, but as I healed, I learned that they only did what they knew how to do.
Thank you for that. I don't know why that I woke up with that in my spirit, but I think it's imperative for people to understand other people's journeys, especially in their relationship with their parents, because I think if you have to parent your parents, and we end up doing that at different stages in our lives, like it's one thing. I think some of us have a understanding and almost a level of preparation, or we're preparing in our heads to do that when our parents get older, right? That's an adult to adult kind of thing. And then for some of us, our parents actually become children, like we actually make them into children a little bit, and then we start bossing them around. But it's a different experience when you are the child having to manage that way, and manage parents who are now, like they're the child, right? But you're not getting your needs. So tell me, what was the one thing, if you could say, okay, I knew that I was codependent. What was the one thing that stood out to you that you were like, yep, that's it?
The denial. The denial. So not being able to talk about it. Like I said, I couldn't bring people to my house, that kind of thing. When I was 15, I ended up leaving my mother and going to move in with my dad. And it was because she was in such a bad place. I was in such a bad place. I was drinking. I wasn't going to school, doing things I should not have been doing as a 15-year-old. And I really realized that if I was going to save myself, I needed to leave her and let her go, because as a codependent, we want to take care of that person and we feel like they can't live without us, and we get that attachment. And so having to walk away from my mom and let her do her thing, knowing I can't save her at 15 and save myself instead, was when I really realized it. But I still didn't do all the work, right? At 15, you're still trying to figure everything out. And it still blows me away that people at 18 have to decide what they're going to do for the rest of their lives.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that was the defining moment. But then, I really didn't start doing the work. I think I told you last time, until I was like 39. And I had that epiphany in my kitchen where I could see why my mother had gone the way she had, because life is hard.
I just want to say thank you for being honest, because I know when we talked that that I said to you, over here we're honest, right? We're just very honest and clear, and that's the goal of the show. It's one of my goals for the show, because I want people to feel comfortable enough to share their experiences, because I feel like everyone has had the same experience, just in different ways,
Yep.
right? And so I pulled up a list of things that are that they say people, some of the symptoms of codependency, right? And so I did see that it said it was, anyhow, academic research, but I'm going to pull it out of academic research and just kind of make it plain. And I hear you when you say that, you had to save yourself, right? And you had the wherewithal at 15 to do that. So kudos to you. But one of the, and I'm sure you did this as a child when your needs, but one of the symptoms of being codependent is that you do things for others before you do things for yourself. Pretty simple, right? If you are codependent in that way, raise your hand, put your hand up in the chat, whatever, jump up for joy. And I know in my own life, in my own relationships, intimate, personal, with children, whatever, like that is something that I know I do. I still do and have done, right? In protection of other people, and in protection of other people's feelings. I'm just going to say that because that sometimes comes into play. And which is another codependent symptom, is that you are trying to protect other people's feelings. So Kelly, can you talk to us about those two types of things and how to overcome those?
I'm not sure I have fully overcome them myself, but
Okay, no,
yes.
that's okay. We are in practice.
Yes, always. That's the surprising part to me that keeps coming up, is that there's always more. There's always another thing that we need to heal from. And it's okay. We're on a journey in this life, right? And so as far as protecting other people, we're extremely protective as codependents, and we feel it's part of who we are to take on that responsibility, because we need to feel important, because we didn't get our needs met. And that's really what it boils down to, right? And we want to put our guard up, put our wall up, and not let others in, do everything ourselves. I think I said it last time, you got 10 packages in your hand, someone says, let me get the door, and you're like, no, I got it.
Right.
It's that, and then you see it's compassion too that we have for others. We see them struggling, we want to step in, we want to be their aid, we want to, be their hero. It makes us feel better, it makes us feel good, it makes us feel worthy. And it really does boil down, I think, to self-worth and that feeling, wanting to just be noticed,
So are you saying that in that space that we're doing everything to make us feel better?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a part of it?
It's a part of it, yeah. Yeah, because certainly someone can do things for themselves. And even in addiction, we want to fix the person. We want, them to be who we want them to be, and they can't be that. And then, we're spending our whole life trying to save them, and we can't, and then when we lose, we're like, we don't have anything now. What do we do? Who are we? We don't have an identity anymore. We take on a whole identity of mom. I'm a mom.
Yep.
You're not just a mom, right? You are Kedara.
Girl, you better preach it today. Kelly is back here preaching, y'all.
You asked, I answer. Yes. I don't know how else to do it.
No, I thank you for saying that, because we, and I talk about identity on the show all the time. And I talked about many moons ago, social identity, about how it is that we put ourselves into groups by how we identify ourselves, right? And you used a big one, which is mom, right? I am a mom. That comes with certain tags and labels that I don't think, well, no, that's not true. We actually start absorbing those tags and labels. So when we become a mother, we actually start executing those behaviors. And one of those behaviors is supreme self-sacrifice. And so I think that I think of myself in terms of a battery, right? Like I'm at 100% of my battery. And, you know, for a lot of mothers, we work ourselves all the way down to 0 and try to figure it out later. Or my favorite, because it happens all the time when kids go off to college, people have no idea who they are, right? It's not even like, I miss my child. I was glad to see her get out my house and go off to university. But I know afterwards I cried because, okay, that's a new experience for her. But I definitely was happy. I was like, oh, let me go back to go do what I love to do and continue, not go back, not a return to, but continue, which is a difference because I never gave certain things up. But I know that there's a lot of women that do totally give everything up, give it all to their families, and then they're just kind of lost in the wilderness and they're just like, I don't know what is going on. So I have a fun one that's on the list. Okay. And I promise, in the internet world, I promise you all have been there. And it says, you tend to date people with issues, in quotation marks. Whew, this morning, I almost did not get on the show because I was just like, I need to sit with this. And my first thought was, I've been a married woman. I have dated before. I've been engaged, all those things. And I don't think, at first I was just like, oh, I've never dated anyone with issues, because we feel like the issues have to be grandiose, like they are an alcoholic or they're a drug addict or they're whatever, but we don't realize that the issues can be things simply like, for me anyway, what I realized this morning is that, I'm just going to say it because we're honest here, the men that I date, that they tend to have communication challenges, and I love to communicate, right? And so putting sentences together, adult sentences together, seems to be a challenge. And so I guess I date people with issues. And so what are your thoughts on that? And did you see yourself find a pattern in yourself of like, okay, the person that I'm seeking next, my husband has to have this, or the man I'm dating, did you start to see a pattern?
Yeah. Long-term relationships for me, very long, because part of codependency, we stay with things far longer than we should, not wanting to give up, right? So I spoke of my kid's father, who was an alcoholic. He was 12 years older than me. And so I was seeking someone who was more mature. What I knew, my sisters were older than me. They were about that same age, older than me. So I was comfortable in that space. And so a man my own age, where I had to grow up quickly, the same age as me, was immature to me. And so I sought that. And then the alcohol was familiar. And so I went down that road, and then I realized, no, I don't want to raise my children this way. And so I left. And then when I found my ex-husband, he was not that. I thought I was good. We had a lot in common. We did a lot of things together. And then I found out he had mommy daddy issues. And I
Don't we all, girl?
always want to grow.
Yeah.
And I'm not one to be a man basher at all. So I hope no one takes this in the wrong context. Women tend to mature faster than men. I think we all know that. I think it's a fact.
Yes,
right?
It's a fact.
So they don't even start.
We can get some research, y'all. Don't come for us talking about that's not true
No.
and you're all in your feelings.
Right.
25, 27 is when the male brain actually is fully functional, or we think. So it's science, y'all. It's science.
I put the age of around 30 on it. Anyway.
Oh, Lord. Lord help us. Lord help us.
From what I've seen, I'm probably not the best person to talk about relationships with men. But anyway, so I ended up growing, and he stayed who he was. And it didn't work anymore. So we end up changing. And if the partner's not changing too at the same time, then we grow apart. And that's a relationship takes work, right? So fast forward to now, if I am to want to go date a man, I have now different values than I had then, right? And what I want, what I would like to see in a man, what I want for myself, and so we can create that, right? By visualizing what it is that we would like to see in this person, instead of going with what we would attract as what we know. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So my advice would be pick values that you have, but also that are going to make you stronger. So I always say, like, someone as strong as me or stronger, because my ex was not that. I was the stronger person in the relationship. And I, as a woman, want someone dependable, right? That is going to be able to, if I need you to, pick me up,
Right. Yeah.
move with me and not want to stay stuck. Or if I say I want to go to the gym and you've never worked out, but you're trying to cling to me, so you say, oh, I'm going to go to the gym too. Yeah, I don't want you in my space, right? So, I mean, there's that boundary of you do your thing, I do my thing, but there's things that we do together that we love to do together, right? And what are those things? And can you grow together? So I don't know if that helps, makes sense, answered the question. Kind of went all.
It does. It's very clear. And I just want to poke fun in my chat, because we talked about issues and the chat got quiet. Dating people with issues. Now, don't let me call people out now, because I know some of y'all. So, so the idea of, and we have a comment in the chat that says the fixer, and I'm a little challenged with the fixer concept, because I do know that there's men and women who like projects, right? Like that try to lift other people up, lift their mates up, try to create some people actually try to create a mate. So it's exactly what it is that they want, and they want in form. But I don't think we're talking about fixing. What we're talking about is our attachment to ensure that the other person is so good that we're depleting the healthy part of ourselves. And so that is the part that we're talking about. So not fixing, but it's also almost rooted in fear, right? We're almost fearful that if we don't behave a certain way in a relationship, and I just want to say this too, that it can be an intimate relationship, but it can also be a relationship, and I mean like with a partner, with your mate, but also with your children. It could be at work. So some of these things show up, some of these symptoms show up in those same exact spaces. So, because I read something the other day where a woman put herself in debt because her children, like her and her children's father, they divorced, and she felt to get their love and to make sure that they were quote unquote good, she bought them things all the time. She's fearful that they're not going to be happy and they're no longer going to love her, because she doesn't spend money, because of this divorce, instead of being very clear to them and having conversation with them around why the divorce occurred, how it is that their feelings, what they're feeling is valid, right? And so so that's one of the other things you put. Once again, we talked about putting your own needs in front of their needs in front of your own, which is depleting your own healthy value system. You know, the thing that comes to mind that I just want to stay here for a second is that we need to stop backpedaling off of and looking for affirmation for things that we know to be true. And that is something that we collectively, I'm sure we can find things in our lives where we're just like, oh no, I always need to be affirmed. I'm like that with this podcast. Certain times, certain topics, I'm like, did I even do what I thought I did? Or in the podcast in general, I'm not too sure if it's effective, right? And so I need people to affirm me. And there's a healthy portion to that, but there's also an unhealthy portion to that. And I wonder, Kelly, that when you went to go live with your father, were you trying to get him to affirm certain things in you that you didn't get with your mother?
It was a very, very different way of living.
Mm.
And I don't even know that I can consider that in it. It was more, I need to get out of where I'm at and I need to go somewhere better. You know, my father was far more stable. And he had his own businesses and everything. So I can tell you a story if that's okay.
That's
So
okay.
with my mom, I had to raise myself, right? And she's didn't instill in me. She didn't. I was more the boss in that relationship. So I'm sitting at dinner with my father and my stepmother, and we finish eating, and they said, go put the dishes in the dishwasher. And I sat there like, what? And they were like, you can put the dishes in the dishwasher. And I was like, an adult just told me what to do, and now I need to listen. And it was just like an epiphany for me that I actually had to get up and go put the dishes in the dishwasher because someone told me to do it. And that's
Oh,
how
wow.
far gone I was in being my own boss. I am not listening to any adult. I know everything. I think every 15-year-old knows everything. It's a tough age, but it was just an epiphany to me. And then from there, it was like, okay, if I'm going to turn my life around, I do need to listen. I do need to learn that, you know, there are people who have to tell me things so that I can be a child and not an adult at this, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that is what that did for me. I was able to finish high school and have a job and get a car and go to college, and you know, I didn't finish, but at that point, that's okay. I still had issues, you know, and but it was, I don't know where I would be. I wouldn't be here. I know that if I had stayed with her. So
Thank you for that story, because that's a powerful shift in the moment of trying to realize what you needed, and they gave you what you needed. And I just need to say, I'm proud of you that at that age you knew, like you were so reflective that you were just like, wait a minute, I don't need to be in control anymore. I can lay down my armor, I can lay down my cape and just be, right? And so you knew what you needed as a child, and it was a good thing that you were able to come back to, this is what I want to do in a child space. And that is fantastic, because a lot of us don't get there. A lot of us, and that's why we talk about, you know, healing that inner child, and being able to get the things that you need now. So when I always look at it, I think about it as an adult at the top of the stairwell and your little person walking up the stairwell to meet that adult person, and then you all and you all can heal together and walk in a healthy kind of way. And I know that might sound a little strange to people, but I'm going to give such a simple example that people don't even associate to an inner child wound. And we're kind of flippant about our feelings. Let's be clear about that. We're taught to be real flippant about our feelings. But think about Christmas time and you are hoping for a present that you just asked your parents for it the first year, they didn't get it. The second year, you didn't get it. You're still asking for the same present, and after a while you end up with feelings like, oh, I'm unheard, I don't think they love me. You now create a belief system in your own head that's possibly untrue but valid to you at the moment, right? And so when you walk into adulthood, you might make a request of someone or of something, and then you go back to that thought pattern of, oh, I'm unheard, I'm unloved, they don't see me. But here's the thing, we have the ability to not only buy the present that you want for yourself. Now, here's something think about that, you all. Because when we get into adulthood, we think we're supposed to throw off all the things that we love from our childhood, which is false. Because part of the things of our childhood that we love, if we carry them on with us into adulthood, that becomes who we are as individuals. And so that's when I talk about the returning to things. So in the instance, if you are upset still about your parents not getting you a present, go buy the damn present.
Forgive your parents.
If you're like, just buy the present. And here's why I go buy the present. Because as an adult, you should be able to reflect back and as well as have a conversation with your parents as to why they never bought it. And then go buy it for your damn self. Because you might never understand as a child what it means not to have enough money, or the store ran out of it every year, or they keep forgetting because it's not on their list. Because as an adult, guess what? Those are certain patterns that we do in our own lives, right? Like my girlfriends know I bought a hula hoop the other day. And it wasn't because I don't like hula hoops or I didn't have a hula hoop as a child. It's because I love hula hoops. It was pretty. I found it the other day. I wanted it and it's mine. And every once in a while, my doggy looks at me like I'm crazy because she's like, "Wait, what is she doing over there with that damn hula hoop?" But it brings me joy. So I just want to say that to people. You have the ability to correct the things in your childhood that are present today. If you didn't get something, if you were unheard, if you felt unloved, you should be able to, as an adult, figure out how to meet those needs of your inner child, because you have to determine where it came from, whatever that trauma was, whatever the incident was, and heal yourself and move forward. So, Kelly, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Here's my last question. Give us 2 things that we can practice this week, because in your practitioner, because you keep working on it, right? You keep working on it, and we don't, over here on Life Coaching Today Presents, I don't believe in perfection. So I'm just saying that we're working to be better at all times. So what's 2 things, 2 homework assignments that you can give for us this week that we can do to kind of break those chains of being codependent?
I think the first one would be, what is the book to read? Out of the Fog by Dana Morningstar. I would grab that book and I would start reading it if you haven't read it.
Wait, what's the name of the book? Because I didn't hear you.
Out of the Fog by Dana
Out of the
Morningstar.
Fog.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. And then the other one is a visualization of what you want in your life and actually believing that you can have it.
Okay, I
That one
need
will
you
take
to
more than a
explain
week.
that. I need you to
Okay.
explain that for us.
Sure. So we all have things that we want in our lives.
Yes.
We have desires. A lot of us don't feel that we can get them. So create it. Like you're saying, pretend. Sit with your inner child and write it out. Put it on a vision board, whatever it is. Pick one thing in your life that you don't think you might ever have. A trip, that man, whatever it is. Design him. Have fun with it. Use your imagination. Create it. And then when you're done, look at it and believe. Try to believe that you could actually have it. How's that?
I like
Deep.
that. I like that. No, I like that. I actually like homework too. So I give everyone homework assignments. I'm checking in with everybody next week. I love that. The idea.
My thing is, I'm supposed to have more fun. I'm supposed to play more. I'm too serious. I'm all about work. I'm all about get it done. I'm all about go, go, go. And, I follow my signs, and my signs are have more fun. And what we forget as adults is to have an imagination anymore. And people tell us we can't pretend, right? It's not, what are you, a child? Yes, I am. Inside I am. And I have one, and she's little. And I picture little Kelly in her footy pajamas, and we rock. And she tells me she loves to swing, and things like that. We need to get back to having an imagination and allowing ourselves that time to imagine, to dream, and then to believe.
You said you said swing, and I promise you, I have it on my list. I was driving up in Sandy Springs, y'all. I'm not going to tell my spot because I don't want everyone to run and take it over if you're in Atlanta. But I saw the best swings, and it is on my list to go sit and spend time swinging out there because the swings are fantastic. So I appreciate you coming once again and sharing and talking with us. And I don't feel bad today. Not that I felt like horrible, but I definitely feel energized. I definitely feel like I can take something off my t-shirt. So I love that. And thank you for sharing your stories. Thank you for letting us know that we're human, we're valuable. We've had problems with our parents. We've had problems in our relationships. We will still have problems, but we can practice and we can perfect what it is that we need for ourselves. And know that we're still going to stumble and fall, because I think that's the main thing. And the other main thing is being able to identify all of these issues that we're having with other people, whether it's things like, oh, I don't want to hurt their feelings, but I'm hurt, or whether it's I'm not going to say anything to hurt their feelings, even though I'm hurting, right? I'm not going to share my story. And I want to close on this, that codependent relationships, healing your inner child, some of these symptoms, I just want to say, is very low conflict behavior. And let me say my disclaimer: conflict does not mean war all the time. War is an aspect of conflict. But when I say conflict and being low conflict, that means the interactions with other people that make you might have turmoil, you might recoil. My friends my people that I teach that are low conflict, they are so conflict averse, like it literally gives them a physical reaction because they don't want to see the reaction of the other person. And so codependency a lot of times is in that low conflict realm, where we want to make other people good, where we are suffering, where we are unhappy. And so the tool, my gift to you all today is that you have to trust your own voice first. And second, you have to actually put yourself first. And if you lose something because you utilize the great voice that you have, it wasn't meant for you to have it. It's okay to lose a person. It's okay if your children are mad at you, they have enough friends. It's okay if you lose a friend because you spoke up based out of your own means. And that is something that we need to work on. And our low conflict people who are definitely, and we all have codependent symptoms. We may not have them all, but we have traces of them. But that's what I want to say, because if you are in a space of hiding yourself or always doing for others, or the only focus is everyone else, and another important thing is if you can't even ID your own feelings because you've given them so much to somebody else, you need to figure out what your feelings are. And I promise you, if you Google the feelings chart, there is a chart. There's a whole page, y'all, of like 250 feeling words. Go pull it up, because when you are struggling, when your friends are struggling, when your children are struggling to define how they feel, I promise you, let them look at the list, because we are more than just mad, angry, sad, and happy. I promise you all that. And it is 8:10. I just want to say we're going to close for today. Thank you all for joining us. And let me not lose my manners. Anybody in the chat have a question on Facebook before we leave? And because Kelly is here. Emily says book club ? I like to give homework assignments, so I would say Kelly would need to lead that book club if that's what we want to do, because over here my time is little. I just want to say that again. So thank you, Kelly. You are always welcome here. Thank you for your insights. Thank you for your gifts. And I appreciate you. I appreciate everyone who's joined me today on Life Coaching Today Presents. And let me just say a little hint. Next week, I'm probably going to wade into the world of dating with something that I really want to do. But I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it such that we have potentially a Kevin Samuels follower who's going to be on with us. And if you're familiar with Red Pillars, they don't have a fond view of women. So we're going to have a conversation with him. It's going to be an interesting panel. And Kelly, quickly before we leave, Emily says, how can we find you? What is your Instagram? We put up your book. How else can we find you, sister?
Well, I'm on Facebook under Kelly Craig.
All right.
As my business profile. And I think under Instagram, it's Kelly_Craig_brands, because I got hacked. I had to change it.
Yes.
And I will give my email is kelly@kellycraigbrands.com.
All right. Thank you, Kelly. You have an awesome day. We'll gather up all that information and we'll put it out there in the world. And I think you owe me 10 minutes of wisdom, Kelly. Homework assignments. You all have a blessed Thursday. Enjoy the day, you all. Stay safe. Bye.
Thank you for watching Life Coaching Today Presents, hosted by Kadada Gray and produced by Aruba Saad. Our mission at Life Coaching Today is to empower your health, business, community, and life. Check us out at lifecoachingtoday.com. Everyone here at the True Awesome Network would like to remind you to like, comment, subscribe, and spread awesome.